On this gun talk hunt, I'm coming to you from Alaska. We've wrapped up the hunt. I'm going to tell you all about how it ended, how it progressed, and what you need to know if you plan to do your next hunt on Kodiak, Alaska. All that right here, right now. This gun talk hunt is brought to you by Sig Sauer. All right, welcome in, gun talk hunters. This is the final kind of episode of the Alaskan journey with Alaskan Ocean Pros and Gabe Linegar, and we've got Captain Greg over here too. So how'd the trip go for you guys? I want to ask you. I want to start with you guys first because this is kind of a recap, and we've got two more stories to tell over here. But from your perspective, is this pretty typical?
It's a pretty typical deal, yeah.
Really?
Weather was good, weather was bad, pretty normal. But as far as the hunter capabilities, I think you guys were more avid hunters than a lot of the people that we get, so you guys maybe did a little better.
Wow.
You have to say that though, because we're sitting right here in front of you.
You know I will bust you. You know I'll bust you.
Don't church up dirt.
You know I ain't churching up nothing, because I would definitely bust you out.
We talked about it last night, and he said the same thing last night. I'm gonna pick up with y'all out in there.
Wow,
that's high praise coming from someone who sees, literally sees it all. We've got Mike Herne from Black Rifle Coffee Company, Frame Range America, and Adam Heggenstaller from Game and Fish. So let's start. We left off our last one. We left off with you both tagged out reindeer, and you just shot a buck that evening, right?
Yeah.
We didn't get to it. So walk us through that and how that process progressed, because really we all spent the day on the beach filming content while you were out killing.
If that's what you want to call recovering. If that's what you, so what happened was, these guys had a rough pack out, their first Kodiak Island pack out.
yours was rough as well.
Mine was rough as well, but they decided to take a day off.
Well, and this all coming at the end where he said, oh, you guys did really good, better than normal people, and we take a day off the first pack out.
Yeah. So, second full day on Kodiak Island, and everyone was taking the day off. Some people say it was to film content. Some people say it was to recover, whatever. I was not going to waste a day in Alaska on Kodiak Island hanging out at the beach. We can hang out at the beach after tags are filled, because we got tags to fill. That's the way I look at it. So I'm in the field till tags are full. Then we'll do all the other stuff. So I went out. Gabe and I went out. We did not hunt together. Have to say that because he's not allowed to hunt with me. But we went out.
Separate areas.
Separate areas. Yep. And I went up a hillside and I spotted a buck way up high. I couldn't tell if he was good. I just knew it was a buck. And as I was moving in, I spotted a buck down lower.
I would have taken that one.
I was like, well, there's a lower buck. Oh, and the day that I'm by myself, there's a monster brown bear in between me and where I'm trying to go to get to the buck, which I just kept walking at it like a dummy. He ran off. I don't know where he went. He disappeared. But by the time he disappeared, I was more focused on killing the buck than I was the brown bear. But so the buck down lower looked real good. I have no way to judge a blacktail, but he looked good. So I went after him, made a 300-yard shot, dialed for 300, hit. I don't know where I hit. I heard it hit the dirt. And because of that new suppressor being on that rifle, that buck did not blow out of there. He just looked around. He was like, I don't know if I like that. And started meandering away. So I said, screw the dope, went back to the basics, dialed the scope down to 0, and just did a hold for it. And dropped him at 270 yards. And then cut him up and packed him out and got back to camp, and all you guys were well rested and looking happy.
We were looking fresh.
And I was feeling fresh because I just brought back a good blacktail. So
yeah, you had a successful hunt too.
Yeah, it was a good day for hunting, just because that blow that you guys were having when you're up on the reindeer. It was the tail end of that, so it was a little bit of nice weather there, and those deer. Also, there was still blowing. It was blowing out of the north, so all those hillsides were just calm. So all the deer just came down in that lower elevation, so it was nice.
And you got a nice one. Like the deer taken on this trip were really, really quality, and I think that was one of the things that impressed me most was the quality of deer taken on this trip, and that's pretty typical, I guess.
If you're selective, there's so many deer that most people coming from out of state, they just want to get a blacktail, and so they're not patient. And so it seems that they just shoot for sure the first buck they see.
Well, and that's what I did, and he's a good average buck, and then I was kind of holding out, not seeing as much as we thought because the weather really cleared up. And if you're a sightseer, dude, it was gorgeous. But apparently,
nice weather animals don't move.
Really,
that's a bummer.
Man,
I tell you what else impressed me about these deer are their body size. And they're a lot bigger than what I thought. You know, I thought blacktails were, on the small side, more like almost coos deer size. But that one, a couple of those bucks, man, they're fat and wide. I mean, huge hindquarters, a lot of meat on them.
Well, so the morning after you took your break, after you shot your buck, we were all going out, and I was heading out to take my morning constitutional. I'm sitting there on the beach, and I feel sorry for these does. Like, I really do, given the body size of those bucks, because I kid you not, I had a doe walk right by me because I was just standing still, and then her fawn walked within arm's reach. So naturally, I reached down and petted it. Those does are tiny. Like, I was shocked to see how short they were.
There is some stocky does, but I'd say on the average, you're right. They're on the small side.
Yeah.
There's some big does too.
I feel sorry for them after seeing those bucks because they pack, and they're in peak condition right now. I mean, they've got to be in peak conditioning to make it through the winters, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 inches of fat at least on those things.
There's more than that.
Maybe 2 inches.
There's more than that.
Whoa, wait. The boat mattresses are 6 inches, and now it's calling the fat on the deer 2 inches.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah, it was impressive. So the day after, so we went out hunting that day. Adam and I did, and that was a fun hunt. That was a lot of hiking. We hiked up and down mountains the entire day, and ended up getting on a buck. Adam, you want to walk through that one?
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome day for seeing deer too. We saw a lot of deer that day, and let's see, we were on 2 different bucks before we got on the one that I ended up shooting. And it's, very much a spot and stalk deal. That's what makes this hunt so fun, is it's huge country and you just have to pick it apart with the optics. But when you do, you just start seeing deer. I mean, there's a lot of deer on these hillsides. And it was toward the, the end of the day. I mean, I think you spotted that deer at like 4:30 or so.
Yeah, a little bit before that, but I thought he had moved out. When we got set up around 3:30 in that little saddle. But what was funny was we kept seeing bucks. Like, we saw 4 bucks right there. One absolute tank. He didn't have shit for antlers, but his body was probably the biggest I saw of the trip. It was impressive.
Yeah, huge pot belly.
Yeah,
big
almost
brisket.
dragging the ground.
Yeah, almost dragging the ground.
Wow.
Short legs. I mean, he was fat.
Yeah. But no, we had set a time, like, hey, if we want to get out of here by dark, because we had just seen a grizzly that morning, or a brown bear that morning, the same one you probably saw.
Yeah.
Actually, he ran in right after you guys, so you guys had bumped him, and we had already progressed through that area, and he had shot out of there like a freaking cannonball. But so we had originally said okay, hey, by 4:30 we're gonna be done. Like, we've got to start hunting our way back to the beach, because it takes a while to process them because they're huge.
And I mean, at that point we were 1 3/4, almost 2 miles back.
1.8.
1.8
is what I calculated to that. So, but yeah, so we had set a time. We were already at 5:30 when we started kind of easing out.
Yeah, to get after him.
Right. Well, no, we were leaving. At 5:30, we started walking out. And then I happened to look back to where I thought he was, and he was still laying up.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it was late by the time we got on that deer.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the amazing part. There were other deer around that buck, and they kind of knew something was up because we had worked out of this little saddle around the side of the hill, and they're kind of getting nervous, and they're going up and over.
Yeah.
And we get along the edge, and you're like, that buck is still right there, because he was bedded in a brown patch of ferns,
Yeah.
and he was just like distinct. He just stood out like a sore thumb, a lot lighter than those brown ferns, and he laid there that whole time, and we got set up on him, and he still would not get up,
And what could we not see?
and we couldn't see his head.
We didn't know if it was a doe, if
Yeah,
it was
that's
a spike. I mean, we couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I keep calling the deer a he, but at that point we didn't even know
Yeah, we
exactly
didn't
what
know.
it was. But you had a pretty good idea that it was a buck from before. So you pulled the old
Yeah, well,
Oklahoma
I
trick.
was like, hey, this is what we do back in Oklahoma when they're bedded up. So what I do is like, hey, you stay on the deer. Like, I'm going to walk around. He stands up, and if we know he's a shooter, like, take the shot, like, immediately. Like, it's quick, like, typically. So I start walking down, and, like, he can see me, and he's looking at me, and I still can't tell. Like, I know he has something up there. And then I'm walking down, and I'm like, so I'm glassing, like, with those the Burris optics that we've got, and I can see good. Then I just jump in the scope, and I dial all the way up to 20 because it's a 4x20, and I can see. And then Don, the cameraman, is sitting there, like, looking over the edge, like, what is KJ doing? Is he giving me the go ahead? And I'm up over there, like, pumping my fist, like, send it. I'm like almost yelling to send it, because if you weren't, I was going to. Like, I had a perfect lined up shot, and at that point, like, I guess Don turned to you and he says yes, and he goes, "Are you sure? Is that right?"
Yeah, that's
'Cause
right.
I couldn't
Yep.
hear the conversation because I was so far away.
Don was saying, KJ's giving a thumbs up. Shoot. I'm like, are you sure? It's like, yeah. So I look down, and I just see you going.
Send it.
So, I mean, I trusted you,
And that was the thing, is that you still have not seen the size of deer.
No.
You put a lot of trust in me, and thank goodness you did, because that was a hammer of a buck.
Yeah, I mean, I was set up 230 yards. So after you said shoot, I shot, and you shot him in his bed, and he made like 2 bounds and
Started
fell
doing
over.
the old
The
Kodiak.
Kodiak roll.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it.
Kodiak roll.
That's what it is.
I think the Kodiak roll is like your best friend when you're up here.
Yeah.
Because I ended up running up and kicking him down to a lower shelf, let him do the Kodiak roll just to get him down, so we didn't have to clean him on the side of a mountain.
Right.
That pretty typical. Like you.
Yeah, pretty
I mean,
typical.
Yeah.
Unless it rolls down the other side, the wrong side.
Yeah, then that's not good.
That would be awful.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Oh, because then you have to come up, or I
You
just
got to
walk
roll it
around.
down to where you can rest
Yeah.
them, and then
Yeah.
you got to come up and over. So you got to roll them down to semi-level ground,
No.
further down the other side,
And
then
you have to
right-
go up and then over.
Yeah.
So it's always best, like, man, shot location, like, on the animal is key, but on the location of the mountainside and hillside, it's even more important.
Choose wisely.
Yeah.
Because it could be a bad deal.
Sometimes you just don't think about that, though.
Yeah.
And if you want that deer, you want to get him.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like that deer that you had shot, like, you go up to the top of the mountain, you shoot that one up there. I mean, every deer we shot, I mean, hit the dirt right then. We didn't have to go tracking. We didn't have to do anything like that. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that may not make that shot well, and it runs up, runs down the mountain, and then the chase is on. Then you're screwed.
I made one bad shot. I spined the deer that you guys, when we saw you guys down in the saddle that same day, we were watching those bucks fight, and that cactus buck up above them. It was a long shot. I feel like I could have just, with that 270, man, I feel like I should have just held center mass. And I held up at the spine, though, and that's where I hit at 300 yards. And so I had to run forward and put another shot in him. But the Kodiak roll, he
Saved
rode
you.
down the right side of the mountain and closer to me so that I could make that follow-up shot quick and clean.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the Kodiak roll. That's.
Crucial.
I need to. Has it been called that before?
Dude, you need
shirts.
I'm
I
gonna
think
trademark
that's
that.
Mike's. Yeah,
Mike's
we got to
new
keep
thing.
that. in
Trademark
Mike's.
that. And
Yeah.
they probably need shirts.
You
because
need
it is-
shirts.
it
That's
is
a good
thing.
idea.
Dude,
man.
the Kodiak roll is a very real thing. Even if the animal doesn't do the Kodiak roll upon hitting the dirt, you still
Do
as
the
the hunter, you
the
do
Kodiak
that. You induce the Kodiak roll to get that animal to an area where you can clean it safely.
How far did it roll?
Oh, that buck! We got the footage. It'll be on the
It
film.
went
He-
away.
Long way,
a couple
didn't it?
100 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And
And I was like, his spot will be level enough, and I still should have rolled one more. Gave him
Really?
one more. Yeah, it was still a little too steep. It was kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
There's a few times where I was like flipping him over to work on the other
Mhm.
side, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't want him to go, and he's
I don't
got to
have
hide
clean
off.
deer.
Yeah. Just
keep
have clean deer all the
rolling.
way down.
Yeah.
That's what you ought to do. You ought to open it up, then push it off, and then
Ooh,
all the innards
just
just fly out. That's how you clean
It'll
it.
roll all over.
We're going to jump in here real quick from a word from our sponsors, take a little quick break, and then we're going to pick it back up with the Alaskan Ocean Pros, Gabe Linegar, and Captain Greg on the backside of this. All right, established in 1868, Franchi is known for Italian craftsmanship and functionality, form, fit, feel, the whole 9 yards. The air is getting crisper out there, and I know, teal season's already opened up, and the waterfowlers are just chomping at the bit to get out there. And when the weather gets nasty, you need guns that function. And the guns like the Affinity 3 Cerakote job gets it done, because I'm going to tell you right now, we all know Cerakote is absolutely a hammer in the nastiest conditions. I've got a lot of guns with the Cerakote finish on them, and I beat the living dog crud out of them, and they do not fail. And that's one of the things I love. And the Affinity 3 is an inertia-driven gun, which, if you know, in the nastiest conditions, those guns just run. It's got Evolved Ergonomics X, which is designed from the ground up to provide optimal comfort in any shooting position. And so if you're laying in a duck blind or a layout blind, and you're sitting there and you're waiting those ducks to come in, all of a sudden they come in, that gun's going to mount naturally in any position. And that is just that Evolved Ergonom X, designed by Franchi, and Franchi really does a great job on it. Omni Fit adjustable stock, so even youth hunters can get into this gun. I would not hesitate to give them that advice, like, hey, this is a gun to start out with. This is a gun to finish your duck hunting career with. This gun lasts. It's a TSA recoil pad, which is great. But again, it's got a 7-year warranty, so it's going to last. It's going to give you the drive you need to finish that duck hunting season, no matter what the conditions are. Visit FranchiUSA.com to learn more. All right, we're back. This is our kind of finale, and we had to come in early. So I tagged one deer on the first day, and just couldn't get on it. Adam and I went out, and I completely blew a 430-yard shot. I will freely admit that I thought my dope was 8. I left my phone and Kestrel back at the boat. Those are 2 big mistakes.
Yeah.
One, you can't get any pictures because it's beautiful scenery, but then again, you're living in the moment, and just getting out there. I always have the memories and see the framing of this big velvet racked buck in my sights, and I just couldn't get on it because we laid on that deer for a little over an hour and a half.
It was a while.
Almost 2 hours.
Plenty long enough to get cold.
All right, so I left my Kestrel and my phone back at the boat. Complete boneheaded move on my part. Always make sure you pack your kit accordingly. And I think it was just a fail on my part. And then I didn't trust my dope because I tried to figure it out in my head because I knew my 300 and 400. Deer was sitting at 430, and then I didn't think it would be that much, but I dialed the 8 when he was at 465. And so at 465, I was like, okay, my dope might be like, I'm trying to think about 500. So I dialed the 8. I get back and verified it on the Kestrel as 8.9. So I was hitting just under that deer. And it was hard. It's hard to see impacts out there. You know, when depending
it's almost
on
impossible if you don't watch trace. Unless they're up against a rock,
Yeah.
you ain't seeing it.
you're not seeing it, and that was hard to make adjustments off that, and I just didn't trust that dope. And then in the end, it falls on the hunter to make the best shot possible, and I just did not do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it speaks to, preparation.
Yep.
Come out here, be ready to shoot some of those distances, and for goodness sakes, don't forget your dope card.
No, tape it to the side of your rifle. I mean, I know that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just prepare.
Or push to talk on the radio.
That would have worked also. That's a fair point. So, overall thoughts from you guys. I mean, get your thoughts on it.
It's just an incredible experience. I mean, you have to be prepared, but if you're prepared, you're going to have the time of your life.
Yeah.
Up here, hiking these hills for sure. The scenery's awesome. The animals are great. I mean, stuff that you don't get to see, that often in lower 48, like huge brown bears and blacktails and caribou.
Let's talk about brown bears, because we come up carrying Springfield Armory, like the 10 millimeters XDM Elites. We've got Remington Golden Saber 10 millimeter ammo. Talk about the bears. Let's have a conversation about the bears, because that's what's on everybody's mind. Like, because we don't have to deal with them. You deal with them a little bit.
Not in Colorado. I wish we did.
Yeah.
That would get some of the hippies out of the. That would keep some of the hippies out of the wilderness areas, but
Yeah. You get one or two of them eating, and then they're out.
they are reintroducing wolves. I was the first one to raise my hand and say, "Can we reintroduce grizzlies, not wolves?"
Yeah.
Like, but they'll eat people. Well, yeah, that's the point.
Yes, that's
we
the
need
point.
to cut down on some of the stupidity in the back.
But let's talk, Gabe and Greg, about the brown bears and the brown bear situation, what people can expect coming up here, because I didn't feel threatened at all, but I was aware. You guys
That's
wanna
why
talk
they
about-
have a statement called bear aware. You need to be bear aware. You need to understand bears and their activities and their how they react to different situations, and always be aware that there are bears around you, probably all the time. But bears don't like humans, and they will stay clear of you as long as you're smart.
Yeah.
As long as you don't spook them, that's the worst thing.
Right.
And then if they don't like groups either.
Right.
So
Yeah. There are strength in groups.
you come up on them and you're close, you just, hey bear, hey bear, hey bear, and let them know you're there. And as long as they're not spooked, they don't generally do anything.
Because you've had a lot of close encounters. Because you guys, so Alaskan Ocean Pros, I hope you've seen their Instagram, Facebook page. But you guys do bear viewing trips in the summer. You do everything, fishing. I mean,
We're around bears a lot.
Right.
From bear hunts, guided bear hunts with Burr Hendrickson in the spring, all the way through to bear viewing all summer, to bear hunts in the fall, to deer hunts with bears around us. We're around bears their whole entire season. Yeah. And as long as they know you're there, given a bear viewing scenario where they know people are there every day, the bears will literally walk right up to you because they know who you are, they know what you're doing, to where when you're hunting them, they don't want to see you. They know that we're not supposed to be here. We smell humans. We're out of here.
Yeah.
So every aspect, bears are smart and they're not stupid. Sure, there are situations. There's instances where bears are injured, they're sick, or you surprise them and they will maul you. For sure. That's why you always got to respect bears.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted.
Well, we had an instance on our final day of hunting. Adam and I just went out, and we were headed by your pile.
Yeah, the leftover
carcass. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, we were trying to figure out exactly where it was, because we're trying to be bear aware and not walk through the same area where we dressed this animal out, and we can't find the carcass until we're we get up above the spot and look down, and the reason why we couldn't find the carcass was because a bear had covered it up.
And not like just like covered up just a little pile of it. It was like a 20-foot radius all around, and it was well covered.
Yeah, the grass was all pushed down, and there was a hump of dirt and grass. I mean, there was no visible part of the carcass at all. That was a little chilling.
Well,
you know, to know that
he could be there watching us, and we were walking right by it and moving up through like an alder patch.
Yep.
And that was eerie because it's like, man, he could be right there watching.
Oh, yeah, it probably was.
Yeah.
That's scary.
The truth of the matter is he probably was.
He was probably close.
Yeah.
He's
But
probably like, I ain't going in there. I smell those humans, and I am not getting anywhere near them.
Yeah. And I mean, I won't lie, my hand was on my pistol.
I mean,
going
we steered clear of the spot then, of course, but
right.
you know, it was like I said, like kind of a chilling feeling to know that there was a big old bear standing exactly where we were
Moments
a day
ago, I mean,
before,
just
you know, like
right after we had gotten out there. Because I remember how you had the carcass place because you had the hide laid over it. It was not there. I mean, it was obvious that something had covered it up.
and the bear probably took your knife too.
Don't, dude, why do you say that? I lost, so we were hunting the last day, and I looked down, I'm like, oh my gosh, my knife, where is it? Well, I was hunting with Mike that day, and he goes back through his pictures, he goes, you didn't have it today, so I had lost it either on the pack out with you or sitting down there cleaning, but man, it was a good knife. It's a really good knife. I'm going to have like Philo make me another one, unfortunately. I'll buy another one, but it was a nice knife. But yeah, anything gear-wise stand out to you towards the end of the trip? I am glad I brought gaiters. That.
I mean,
Luco tape.
Yeah, you know, again, good rain gear. I mean, I lived in my rain gear on this trip just because if it's not raining, it's going to, and the vegetation's always wet. It never really dries out, and you're going through bog. But good rain gear, good boots, and then that tape, man, that Luco tape, that stuff is great.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wound care. I mean, it does everything. I would say one of the biggest takeaways for me is we're using a new suppressor from Silencer Central. I'm not going to announce the name of it, but it's new. But I would suggest, highly recommend a suppressor for these hunts. I mean, whatever you got, like it doesn't matter. Like that non-directional like sound location for animals, like they just don't know where it's coming from. They know something's happened, but
they're used to noises, and it's something different that they're not used to. So,
right.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So
it's a good option.
I think the suppressor, hands down. I mean, I've never shot these animals unsuppressed, but I feel like once they hear a gunshot and hear impact near them, they're freaking getting into the next ridge line.
Or they just don't even move. You never know.
Yeah.
But I feel like that suppressor definitely allowed me some follow-up shots that I needed.
That you might not get.
For sure.
That I might not get unsuppressed. And it was
and
not having to wear ear protection, and that new suppressor it's light.
I know.
Like, and it doesn't extend the length of the rifle. It really was.
It was.
I would hunt with that thing. I don't want to hunt without it.
Right.
At this point, if I'm rifle hunting, I want that suppressor with the rifle.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the ammo that we were using the Corlock tipped from Remington. Mm-hmm. You were trying out something a little bit new from Remington.
Yeah, to be announced.
Holy jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It was effective. 3 shots and 3 animals down. But that's the other point, too, about that suppressor is that it reduces recoil to the point where you can see your impact.
Yes.
And that's, when you're shooting a little bit farther, it's nice to know that you've made a good hit or stay in the glass or make a correction right away if you need to.
Yeah. I would add, I would probably recommend adding a couple days on both ends of your trip, just for the situation that we came into.
We always can't do that though.
Right.
Because we have other trips that are just boom.
Right. But even just giving yourself time to,
day or two
not necessarily on the hunt, like adding trips for your hunt, just adding stuff on both ends of it, so you have time. Like we're able to do laundry, we're able to, get our game taken care of. Like I think just packing everything and just having a day to like kind of resituate everything has been very helpful.
And you get to see town. You get to see you get to see a little bit of everything.
But that's a good point too, though. Have a plan for what you're going to do with the meat, because if you have a week like we had, you're going to get a lot of it. Like what we've got, we've each.
All right, that lady said I'm doing 2 of the jumbo boxes. So
Yeah.
Really?
a couple 100 pounds.
I mean, yeah, we each have 200 pounds of meat, between caribou and 2
We'll
deer.
send you.
I mean, it's,
Hey, I've got the blacktail, so I'm square on that. But it was that was handy having it's a Kodiak Island Smokehouse.
It's on my camp page.
Yeah, there it is right here. Yeah, but it was really helpful to go to them, and man, they've got a whole bevy of options that you can select from, just like any meat processor. But they'll ship it back to you either through Alaskan Air or through FedEx, UPS. So that was nice. No. Any final thoughts from you guys?
No.
Anything people need to know before coming up here? Getting
There's
shape?
a lot to know, but just a good thing to do, no matter what hunt you're doing, is to get references. And call those references, talk to the people that have done it before, and you'll get really good information.
Yeah.
Your transporter, your outfitter, your guide, I mean, they should be giving you this information. Maybe they're too busy. Who knows what the situation is? But ask for references and talk to those people, and they'll give you very good information.
I would say a good backpack is definitely.
Yes.
I mean, good boots, good rain gear, good backpack, and waterproof gloves.
Yeah.
Like cheapo waterproof gloves from Ace Hardware, $6.
Yeah.
Like those were 3 critical things. If you're coming out here to stack bodies and pack animals out of there.
A JanSport doesn't work.
A JanSport's not gonna cut it. A JanSport's not gonna cut it. And
You need to tell that reference. You need to tell. You don't have to give names, but you need to tell the
or
story.
even where the hunters were from. You don't even need to.
You don't
bring
even
that
need to
up.
just tell them. Just tell them what they brought.
We had a guy from a specific state that we're not going to mention because we don't want to bring states into this. But he literally brought a book bag JanSport backpack.
No frame. Nothing.
No frame,
Just-
nothing. And he said that that's all that he needed. And with what he ended up shooting, that is all that he needed. And I would not expect anything different from where that guy was brought up. We'll just leave it at that.
But yeah, I think the pack was really critical. You were running a Kuiu 3600.
Yeah.
You had a Kafaru Hoodlum.
Yep.
And then I was running a 44 mag from Kafaru as well, which great packs. I mean, I think all of them performed pretty well. You've had yours a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You got a little wear and tear.
Yeah, it
wasn't-
got some tear,
it's been
little
used.
tear, but it's been used. I mean, as far as hauling the meat out, it was great for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it hauled almost more than I could probably physically handle. It was nice. I mean, I shouldn't say it was nice. It worked well.
It worked well.
Packing a cold caribou out is not nice, no matter
it's not
how you
nice.
put it, but the pack did its job.
Yeah, well, good deal. All right, that's it from us from Kodiak. As always, gun talk hunters, keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction. Always be on the hunt.